Nation of Fitin10, it is day 2 of the challenge. And of course, we are just getting the wheels moving, right? We're just starting out here. Really, today is day 1. I do apologize for the first email you got yesterday, which probably confused you because it said welcome to the last week, or it's the last week of Fitin10 or something like that. So I do apologize for that. It was just a wrong template, okay? Your data is fine, okay, so your numbers, etc. It's just the email was wrong. So you missed clicking one button, and you mess everything up. That's literally what happened. So I just didn't hit save. That's all in my template. Okay. Zoom meeting. I am uploading the Zoom meeting. It might be up already. This was our meeting yesterday, so if you missed it, you can check it out. I'll send the link out to you all. I'll throw it in Slack. Okay. So if you missed the tutorial and you want to see it, or maybe you want to watch it again, I'll have it up shortly. T-shirt. If you didn't get a T-shirt, I know there's a bunch of you didn't get a T-shirt because I forgot, and then maybe I didn't have the right size on hand at the time that you came in. Please let me know. I have a T-shirt for you. Okay. Training and cardio, we covered that in detail in the tutorial. Did a little bit more in yesterday's video, so I'm not going to go into there anymore. I'm not going to talk about it unless you have a question. Obviously, I'll answer that. But what I am going to cover today more is the food aspect, and we'll start to dig deeper with this. So I'm still going to keep it simple. One thing I want to say right now is I'm going to really try to get you guys to eat breakfast, especially if you happen to do, or I should say, especially eat before you do a class, a morning class I'm talking about, obviously. Obviously, if you do afternoon class, you've probably eaten a couple times. So I really want you to try to eat breakfast. And if you have a hard time eating, my suggestion is I'm going to get you to get up a little bit earlier and then try to eat something in liquid form. Okay? The other thing I want to say is every meal, I want you to try to get a source of protein, complete protein. I'll talk about this, what that means in the near future. But let me just give you a couple examples here. Animal-based protein. It doesn't have to be meat, of course. It could be something like cottage cheese or yogurt or something, right? That's animal-based. It's milk-based. Is going to be a complete protein. Of course, meat's going to be a complete protein. Things like beans and nuts, these types of things, these are not sources of, we would not consider these sources of protein. Certainly not complete protein sources. Do they contain some protein? Yes, they do. But that's not what I want you to focus on the bulk of your protein from. Because if you do, you're not going to get a complete source. And if you do, you're never going to be able to get enough protein out of it. Well, you can get enough protein out of it, but you're going to get an enormous amount of other calories, depending on what you're eating, either carbohydrates or fats. Okay, so it's going to take your calories way too high. It's going to take your macros way off. I'll say it again, get a serving of high quality animal-based protein. Hopefully, if you don't, if you're I'm sorry, we do have a vegan or two in this challenge, or pescatarian. I know there's one in the challenge as well. Get a vegetarian source of protein powder. Okay, I think that's going to be the easiest way to go about this. There are other foods out there. These manufactured foods that are complete protein. Again, we'll talk about this more in the future. I'm already going down a rabbit hole here. Get a good source of complete protein, okay? Every single meal. In MyFitnessPal, make sure when you choose the food, make sure you choose the foods that have the green check mark box beside it. It'll be like a little shield, a green shield with a white check mark box. Always use those foods. Also, be careful that you use the right type of food. Okay, so it should say whether it's, for example, let's say you're having, I don't know, chicken. It should say cooked, or if it doesn't say cooked, it's probably not cooked. Okay, so listen, there's going to be some things here that are a bit tricky. There's going to be some things where we're going to learn. If you're not sure about something, you can always look it up. Of course, you can just send me a message, okay? I will be checking Slack daily, okay? Not necessarily hourly, but I'll try to check it multiple times per day, okay? And I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can, okay? So, but just send me a message and I'll respond as soon as I can. Just be aware of the food, whether the food is raw or not, okay? So if you cook meat, like I mentioned in the tutorial, you're gonna lose about 25% moisture. So why does this matter? Well, if you measure out 8 ounces raw, the amount of calories and protein and everything that's in there is going to be the same as if it were cooked, except if it's cooked, it's going to be 6 ounces because we're losing about 25% moisture, okay? On average, okay? Give or take 5%. Rice, another example which I used. Raw, 100 grams of rice. Generally, when you cook rice, you're going to just over 3 times the amount of weight that it originally was. Why? Well, it's absorbing water. So if you have 100 grams of rice, it's going to turn into just over 300 grams, okay? Somewhere between 3 and 325. All right, so on average. So be very aware of this because it makes a big difference, right? It's going to make a big difference whether you have 100 grams or 300 grams, if you have 100 grams of uncooked rice or if you have 100 grams of cooked rice. There's a big difference there, okay? So please be aware of that. When would it not matter if it's cooked or uncooked? Well, if the food didn't change in weight, obviously it wouldn't matter, but generally that's going to be the case. Real whole food. I'm going to really stress that you eat real whole food. You have a limitation on the amount of calories you're having. Okay, now this depends on the person. If you're an extremely small person, female, less than 100 pounds, yeah, your calories could be like around 1,200, right? But that would be a very small person. On average, so ladies, you're probably having somewhere, and again, it varies because this is based on lean mass as well as age and your sex, but primarily on lean mass. So you're going to be getting your calories somewhere, anywhere from probably, like I said, smaller person, 1,300, all the way up to potentially 1,900, just depending on your size. And height, of course, height's going to make a big difference in this. And guys, again, your calories are going to be, probably somewhere between that lower 2,000s to, depending if you're a bigger guy, upwards of 3,000. If you're a really big guy, I had one guy in my challenge, really tall and big, just a huge dude. He lost a ton of weight, by the way. We started him off at, this is going back a number of challenges ago. We started him up at, I believe it was 4,200 calories. Okay, but the point here is obviously we need a limitation. When we eat real whole foods, we're going to be getting nutrient-dense food. Okay, we don't want to have empty calories. We don't want to just have calories for the sake of having calories, and we don't get those micronutrients. We don't get those vitamins and minerals. We don't get those phytonutrients, etc. Okay, now obviously phytonutrients aren't going to be in all foods, but you understand what I'm saying, hopefully. Okay, we want to get the most bang for our buck. All right, and also real whole food is going to be more voluminous. Okay, and this is going to help to make you feel a lot more satiated and less hungry. And if you eat real whole food, you're probably going to tell me that I'm feeding you too much. The volume of food is too much, but it's really not, especially with the protein, which, by the way, oh man, I'm almost at 10 minutes here. By the way, what was I saying about protein? It's highly satiating. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Your protein will go up over time. Your protein will go up over time. Okay, I start you off with a little bit less protein than what I would like to give you, but it's still usually for most people an increase in their protein. Okay? All right, let's get to the message of the day. Message of the day is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Food is going to be the hardest portion of this. You have to control what is going in. You have to control the energy input. You have to, okay? We cannot wing that portion. We cannot guess. Okay, this can be a huge difference. There can be a big difference. You can easily add in a couple hundred calories if you like, or more, daily. That's going to make a big difference. It adds up. Okay, so we've got to be very, very aware of this. So, first of all, you got to measure things out. You've got to make your food in advance. You've got to have that all planned out. And then there's also, is what you're doing accurately reflected in your journal, right? And this is a bit of a learning experience. So there could be some errors made here. It's not enough to do a little bit sometimes, or sometimes, doing something good sometimes. It's about consistency here, okay? And the inconsistencies, if there are inconsistencies, it can add up and it can hold you back. Of course, it will hold you back to some degree, okay? And I'll give you an example of this in the next video, okay? Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself. For the love of God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you very soon. See you guys.